What's up, everybody? It's Nick here, and this is your second stimulus check stimulus package update video. Now, in this video, first, we're going to talk about President-elect Joe Biden and what he said recently in a press conference to reporters about stimulus. Then we'll hear from Mitch McConnell, the Senate Republican Majority Leader, about what his new timeline is for getting a new stimulus package passed in Congress. And then finally, we'll take a look at some of the key terms of Joe Biden's stimulus plan for America, including multiple rounds of stimulus checks. Now, if you don't want to miss any of my update videos on the stimulus package or the second stimulus check, make sure to hit that subscribe button below right now and click the bell notification icon. With that out of the way, let's dive straight into the news. Last Tuesday, President-elect Joe Biden gave a press conference in which he urged Congress to quickly pass a stimulus package, saying people and small businesses are in need of immediate relief.
One of the urgent things that need to be done is people need relief right now. Right now. Small businesses, people who are about to be evicted from their homes because they can't pay their mortgage, unemployment insurance.
Biden warned that state and local governments across the country will have to start laying off first responders if they don't receive financial aid from the federal government soon.
You know, what's going to happen is you're going to see what people don't realize is the failure to provide state and local assistance. You're going to see police officers, firefighters, first responders laid off. And I think the pressure is going to build.
Biden also indicated that he has spoken to Democratic Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer about his vision for the next stimulus package.
But do you plan to be active in those negotiations, working with Speaker Pelosi to represent Democrats in the table?
Well, we've been talking, and they know my views, and I support what they're doing.
Now, that same day, last Tuesday, Mitch McConnell spoke to reporters on Capitol Hill about his plans for stimulus. McConnell indicated that he would support a much smaller stimulus package than what the Democrats want.
I did think the unemployment figure this morning of 6.9% is stunning indication of a dramatic comeback of the economy. That coupled with the gross domestic product growth in the third quarter indicates that our economy is really moving to get back on its feet. That, I think, clearly ought to affect what size of any rescue package we additionally do. I do think we need another one. But I think it reinforces the argument that I've been making the last few months that something smaller, rather than throwing another $3 trillion at this issue, is more appropriate, with it highly targeted toward things that are directly related to the coronavirus.
Now, if you watched my last video, you know that just before the election, Mitch McConnell said that he didn't expect to see any kind of stimulus coming out of Congress until early next year. But after the election, McConnell suggested that we might see a stimulus package passed before the end of the year.
Hopefully the partisan passions that prevented us from doing another rescue package will subside with the election. And I think we need to do it, and I think we need to do it before the end of the year.
McConnell also expressed a willingness to compromise with the Democrats on the inclusion of federal aid to state and local governments.
We did $150 billion for state and local government in the CARES Act, which basically was written by myself and my team. And it's a possibility that we will do more for state and local government. Many state and local governments are doing very well.
Now, McConnell recently expressed a desire to break through the partisan gridlock that we're seeing in Congress right now with regard to stimulus and deliver relief to the American people.
As I've said repeatedly, I think the closer we got to the election, the more that interfered with getting an outcome. The election is over. We don't know for sure all the outcomes, but hopefully we will by next week when we go back in session. And we need to sit down and talk to each other like we did back in March and April and address the problem. And I'm confident we will, no matter who ends up running the government, no matter who's in the White House, no matter I think we know the Democrats are going to run the House, and no matter who runs the Senate, it's time to overcome all that and get results.
So with Joe Biden at the helm now negotiating the next stimulus package for the Democrats, what exactly should we expect him to push for in the next stimulus package? What is Biden's plan for the next stimulus package? Let's take a look. First, according to JoeBiden.com, Biden's plan is named the Biden Emergency Action Plan to Save the Economy. There are 3 pillars to his stimulus plan. The first pillar, Biden plans to use, quote, all available authorities, including the Defense Production Act, to turn the tide on this epidemic. Specifically, Biden wants federal funding for increased testing capacity, systems for tracing people who have come into contact with someone who tests positive, and ability to surge equipment and supplies to new hotspots. Biden also wants funding for more ventilators and personal protective gear for healthcare workers. So you might be wondering, what exactly is the Defense Production Act that Joe Biden mentioned in his stimulus plan here? Well, the Defense Production Act, or DPA for short, is a law that gives the president broad power over the private companies in the U.S. for the purpose of responding to a national emergency or for the purpose of national defense. For example, in response to the coronavirus national emergency, President Trump used his power under the DPA to take over the allocation of scarce medical supplies like protective gear and ventilators. Now let's look at the second pillar of Joe Biden's stimulus plan. The second pillar of Biden's stimulus plan says that as president, Biden will launch a task force reporting directly to him to make sure every dollar going out the door gets to the people who need it and fast. Specifically, Biden wants to bring back the federal boost to unemployment benefits, another round of Paycheck Protection Program funding. Biden also wants at least $377 billion in funding for small business loans for payroll, rent, and other operating costs. These loans would be guaranteed by the federal government so that banks don't have any excuses for denying these loans to small businesses. Biden's stimulus plan would prohibit large corporations from spending stimulus money on stock buybacks and executive raises rather than keeping its workers employed. And now the third and final pillar of Joe Biden's stimulus plan, the one you've all been waiting for, the one that deals with stimulus checks. Joe Biden's plan says that as president, he will provide for additional stimulus checks to families should conditions require. The plan refers to stimulus checks in the plural, which suggests that Americans might see more than just one more $1,200 stimulus payment. They might receive multiple stimulus checks as the conditions require it. Now, the next thing that Joe Biden promises is he wants the next package to forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person of federal student loan debt. Biden's plan would increase monthly Social Security checks by $200 a month. Biden also wants the next stimulus package to provide emergency paid sick leave to everyone who needs it, with no one left out. This should include workers in all industries and all sectors, regardless of company size, and including gig workers, domestic workers, contractors, and the self-employed. Biden's stimulus plan would ensure that everyone receives free coronavirus testing, tracing, treatment, and eventually vaccination. Finally, Biden's plan calls for federal funding for state and local governments so their workers and communities can get the help they need, especially on the front lines, such as in New York. Now, Biden ends his written stimulus plan with a pair of promises to the American people if he is elected president. First, Biden promises that the next stimulus package will not be the last stimulus bill. There will be more, he says. Second, he promises to do whatever it takes, spend whatever it takes, move heaven and earth to help all of the people harmed by this crisis. Only time will tell if Biden delivers on his promises. Until then, make sure to hit that subscribe button below and click the bell notification icon if you have not already done so that you don't miss any of my update videos on the second stimulus check and the stimulus package negotiations. And if you like this video, let me know by giving it a like. And of course, as always, thank you for watching.